them finally when they're stepping into what we're used to seeing from them. So really, really good to see them back at it again. Can they win this next game to just secure the top of the leaderboard before we get into day number 3, before we find out what our smash point is going to be? Can they be the one to set that standard, or is it going to be Yangon at the end? I don't know.
The +10 tomorrow will be big, of course, here. No, we're not getting anything from you, Max. I can see you mouthing something. Shut up. It is now to head over to the commentators. Thank you very much, Neptura, for everything here. Not you, Max. It's time to go into our final Miramar of the day. Over to the casters.
Yeah, and then I said, don't worry, Alpha Gaming, Max Man's definitely not going to be... Oh, hi guys!
Hello.
We are back once again, getting into the final match of the tournament today. Of course, it is that race between Yangon Galacticos and Alpha Gaming that got oh so closer after that first Miramar. We're going again to the desert, and let's see if we can change that story once again. Are Alpha Gaming going to be able to usurp the Titans at the top of the tables, or are they going to pale in the face of danger?
You know, I think at this point, even if they don't usurp, as you said, I think Alpha Gaming has put themselves in a wonderful spot going into tomorrow's competition. Even if they get a goose egg in this map, Alpha Gaming, the team to potentially challenge Yangon Galacticos, who have been highly consistent. But you got to question Weibo. Great roster when it comes to Miramar. Now going into yet another Miramar team that is inching their way closer. So much time is needed for them to catch up. The reality is the closer they get, it becomes even more realistic that they're able to potentially get on that smash point themselves and steal the championship away from Yangon Galacticos, from APG. The opportunity's there. It's just a matter of what the players want for themselves. This next game is going to be critical for our top 2 teams and critical for the other rosters on down the standings to step it up. And for Alter Egos, the team that still has a pretty... I think a lot of fight in them. I do. They're a little bit further down in the standings, but they've made a big impact. And let's not forget their tremendous day throughout group play, I believe it was, where he was group player survival stage, getting one of our highest scores yet in a day. So for Alter Egos, I look at them to potentially make an impact, not only in this final map, but also in tomorrow's competition.
We do, of course, always have these outside chances coming up through. I mean, we just saw the fans from Weibo, or for Weibo, I should say, as well as the team gearing up. They are right on the cusp of thinking about maybe being anywhere near to the top 2 right now, which is more than you could say for most in this tournament. Them and DRX, kind of those 2 teams who are sat there. Maybe Fireflux as well, throw a couple of those on into the mix. But so far, it is really just such a difficult situation for teams in the middle of the table because we've had 2 such dominant teams at the top of the standings. We've scooped out a lot of point scoring from the rest of these tables, which makes it so much more volatile. And that's going to hit the middle of the table hardest in this instance, which means that teams can go up and down, upwards of 5 places. Just every single game, it can reshuffle the middle of these tables very, very quickly. Things can get spicy here as we head on in for our final time today over towards Miramar to see what we've got coming on.
It's our final time, our final chance to see who will set the point threshold. Will it be Yangon Galacticos? Will it be APG? Those are going to be your 2 front runners to set the threshold going into tomorrow. 10 points would then be added on top of that, and that will be our smash point. Don't get too caught up in that, though. I know we'll be explaining it tomorrow, but at least as this game goes, this is the final opportunity to get as many points as possible to set yourself up nicely going into tomorrow's competition. And I do hope, at least for the sake of a lot of our rosters, this zone isn't too crazy. But if I know anything about grand finals, if I know anything about PUBG Mobile, they love to throw some wild things at you, some wild zones. So honestly, I'm kind of feeling it in my bones. Where are we going?
Okay.
Give me something spicy.
I mean, the spiciest circle on Miramar, as we all know, will be that East Island circle, right? That we saw at the end of the global stages at the end of last year back in London. That was nutso, and it was really, really dusty.
Not going to happen here, though. Don't be ridiculous. Stop bringing it up, Taylor.
I have to try. I've got to try, man. I need something spicy.
One day you'll get an East Island circle.
One day. You know, I didn't give a military zone. If I would have got that, I would have been perfectly satisfied with normal, okay? But this is going to be all right, and it's going to be great for those teams who just like a standard style of gameplay will most likely actually Gangon Galacticus not going as north as we're used to seeing them. They're going to be a bit more south, which doesn't change up too much necessarily, but still could be a little bit weird for their competition. 33Z, Weibo Gaming, come on. We look at you to be the front runner to break the top two, and you already lost one.
I haven't lost them yet.
Not just yet, but
Just yet.
we'll see.
Very certain that they are going to lose it very soon.
There it is.
Not yet.
They're going up. They're trying.
Oh, no, they did push back.
They're all in one vehicle. We know this is not necessarily a good thing.
I hate it so much. Stop that. Thank you very much. Goodness me. Alter Ego, hop out of the vehicle, drops you off. And they haven't actually confirmed this flash just yet. So, looks like they're not even going to try. Just going to get away, get out of there. I mean, disengaging, maybe a good idea. Seems like Weibo they're going to be happy to play on the spot.
If I'm Alter Egos, I want that point, right? And I'm a little bit further down than to tomorrow's competition. Even with a heroic game this time around, it only breaks you up into maybe 70 points. It's still not very close enough, at least. Not as close as you would want to be, right, to the rest of the others. But they get back in. Oh, maybe a trap has been set. Oh. They forgo one. No, excuse me, Alter Ego fire back on Weibo. They forgo one cleanup, potentially getting two now. I see the math. It's working out.
Hey, look, he's still down behind that rock.
So now, let them send in a third. Let them send in a third to get the other two up and take down three, and then do it again and take all four down.
I reckon they'll fall for it again. They'll do it. They'll be like, oh, yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Over towards maybe APG. I don't know. I mean, that's the team, right, who's kind of been gatekeeping them several times. They have history, and, well, even more so now, being 1 and 2. So now I bring up the conversation you set up just the last game. When does APG decide to truly challenge Gangon Galacticus? Now, obviously, you brought it up in an initial POI fight, but in this case, for APG, there's a lot of distance. They don't necessarily know where YG is currently at. But if they do see them, shutting them down this game and challenging them, especially with the lead they have over Weibo, who's currently in third, could be worth it.
The idea that I had for potentially Gangon Galacticus going for those hot drops was a bit contingent on having more of a lead over APG, right? Now that they're neck and neck again, I expect them to go just by the book, play their game as they've been playing it up until now. If you're starting to get sort of 30 points ahead of a team, that's when it's sort of a lot less risky to go for the hot drop engagements, right? Because even if you're taking them down by 2 players, right, you're severely limiting their point scoring capability. And if you're able to do that, that is brilliant stuff. Okay, it was a knockout with the Mini 14 from Rosemary on the early game to find the pickup. Let's not go well at all. Goodness me.
I'm actually happy we caught that, though, because it's you take down a solo. Questions remain. What are they doing? Well, they did it all to get to. So, bang for their buck. You'd like to see that. So, $3.99, best price out there. Fireflux, a bit spread out. Solus is going to be one who's pretty much by himself, and you've got quite a few players around. Regnocaria not far behind. Power just up ahead of him. You know, these splits, sometimes they pay off. Oftentimes, I've seen teams get too punished. And, well, in this case, I'm hoping it doesn't happen to Fireflux. But for them, they still seem pretty confident where they're currently at. DRX also coming up behind them. So Fireflux need to band together sooner rather than later.
We're looking at the northwest side right now, and it seems like our observing team are too. We're going to hop over towards Horror and over by the Crater Fields. The Falcons close by, right on the northwest edge, fairly isolated from any other team, really, so not likely to see any third parties on this spot, but you can see close by to one another. Potential for things to get involved now between these two rosters. In 12th place, 14th place, Horror and Falcons respectively. Yeah, they need something. I mean, they need something big, right? And unfortunately for them, they're not too far behind, sort of third place at this point, right? They are within striking distance, and that's what I was saying in terms of the volatility of these tables. It's just so crazy what's happened with Yangon Galacticos and APG that sort of ruffles a few feathers in terms of the typical conversations that we have at this sort of stage of the tournament. But it's definitely very, very movable around the middle side, right? If you get a big game here as Falcons, you get 22 points on the board. All of a sudden, you're up at 64.
Right.
You're in the running for those podium positions.
You never stop fighting until the very end. So the tournament is done with, you continue to fight for every position you can possibly get. And for Narvalo, he's going to do exactly that on the high ground. And more importantly, yeah, he'll get a couple of pop shots, but speaking of which, on no fear, but he's also calling out the exact locations of where Hornet is at. Airborne hits the shot on a sleepy and takes him down. Super surprised he's still alive.
Hey, you can take the Falcons to the sky, but those guys just fly out of the way, you know. They're dipping, they're diving, and Koa's on the business.
That's right.
With the pump action there. Hornet now busted down to a limited supply of players on 2 now remaining standing. Redox is circling again, giving them an aerial display as they threaten to take down Jiggle. Koa pumping into the smoke with that pump action shotgun. Nade over the top. Jiggle should not be long for this game. Another nade over the top, and the airburst is good.
Good stuff. One of the strongest starts we've seen from Falcons in quite some time. Koa, a bit of an issue there with the car, but that's all right. He's going to get picked back up onto his feet. So good on Falcons to start off strong as they did for Hora. Well, they're going to have to go at it as a solo. For APG, keeping TRX at bay. APG very central. They're going to be surrounded by Karia, DRX, E-Arena. Very active, especially as the zone gets even smaller as Fourth Rise start to move in as well. Our previous game winners most likely getting a ton of confidence. Doc, he's out of there. He'll find a position to potentially overlook, I believe, Regnum Karia up ahead.
This is nice and central on the circle, right? The north point, the northeast side of Chumacera, up into these hills, a lot of ridge lines they can play around. Potential danger from further to their south. The question is, what teams try and isolate that sort of position? The high ground that is afforded to them. Yangon Galacticos, potentially, one of those teams behind them. I mean, Doc's just, they're just popping, right? They're just popping shots. Actually, Fourth Rise, exactly. And again, maybe a side swipe from Chumacera.
Yeah, that's the risk you take when you go center zone, especially with a zone such as this. You know there's going to be third parties, and with it being Miramar, there's every single angle possible. And for Fourth Drives to take great advantage of it, and even for Ragnar, well, he decides to go and take advantage of the fight on the Jing, taking him out from Thunder Talk, who have definitely not been the Thunder Talk team we've witnessed during the survival stage. But again, fight till the very end. That is the goal. Power, though, they've done decently well, I would say, right? 60 points is still close to the average we have, at least from Weibo Gaming down. Of course, you got your outliers, Yangon Galacticos, as well as Alpha Gaming, but around 70, 60 points. I mean, that seems to be around where everyone is at, so an average performance. But average won't cut it. To be a champion, you need to do a little bit more.
Silas playing mechanic right now, fixing up the vehicle, making sure it's nice and healthy. Well, pop that one inside the garage. Now on the north side of the road, they're very, very central. They should have a lot of control here, but they want to make sure that their vehicles stay nice and healthy because it's likely they're going to have to leave at some point. Northwest side, the Falcons were able to win their engagement with Hoda, not fully clearing out the roster, but adding 3 points to their tally. They'll now be chased in by the Blue towards Noxian Red Force, so potentially a little bit of difficulty on the road side on the northwest edge. The question is, will they find the positions to deal with those angles that they need to try and breach past?
Falcons have had a great start, but what will their finish look like? Did you set it up nicely? And I agree with you. A 20-point game here puts them in the running, potentially making an impact in tomorrow's Smash Point competition. It all depends on the Noxian Red Force fight, but the good news is for them, they don't need to get too overly aggressive. They don't have to full send it in. They can stay where they're currently at and wait to see where the next zone is going to pop.
A couple of teams now looking to try and play that edge style, right? Yangon Galacticos, we know they like to play into these games late. They're allowed to do that by the rest of the lobby as well. Falcons actually, is that okay, Falcons getting a knock over towards Nongshan? It may well be, it could be Ida as well. Could be teams off in the distance like Fourth Rise. A really hard north shift on this circle and goes back up towards Picardo. Falcons, I mean, this is their only real opportunity here to gain some confidence if nothing else.
Without a doubt, and they do decide to send in on Noxian Red Force. Meanwhile, for Alter Egos, fighting on the right side, the opposite side of where Falcons and Auction Red Force are currently engaging. Solus, just a sliver of health, slips away. Krypton has a chance, and he'll take it. Taking down Scarface, reducing the numbers even more for Fireflux.
Fireflux rolling up like a sushi conveyor belt. Krypton chows down on her, able to knock them straight on out of the vehicle as it flies on past. Add that one to the bill, thank you very much. 4 elims now for Alter Ego as they post up on the east side of the circle.
Good job, Alter Egos in a great spot, fully effectively pushing Fireflux back. Opposite of power. Meanwhile, for Falcons, we knew this fight was going to take place. Noxium Red Force was their only other enemies. Now, Falcons win this in good fashion with all 4 players left up, They're going to have this compound area to themselves, which could be incredibly valuable depending on where the next zone shifts. So, a critical fight for them to take with Tizzy in the smoke. Falcons need to keep their head on a swivel and not just blast on Biome. That UMP is going to knock them out.
Nade in from Koa could find Tizzy if he gets the bounce right. He knows there's a person in here now with the damage flag, and Koa immediately able to put him down there. Again, that's the warehouse now controlled. The longhouse is next up. These are a lot harder to take control of than the warehouses. But the question is, do they need to right now? They've got control of this warehouse. The Falcons, not really too many teams contesting them in this area. Could potentially be third-partied by a team like Yangon Galacticos. And the longhouse still has some teeth to it. Don't necessarily need to push just yet.
Need to keep Narvalo up. It's going to be very difficult to do. XCY forced to retreat now, and that should give an ample amount of time to get Narvalo back in the fight, which Redox is going to fully commit to. And Noxium Red Force knows this. Nade's going to be cooked, and it might have a chance to connect on Koa through the doorway. Good. Just misses. I thought that was good for sure.
Just a little bit too long on the cook. The one side of the wall does catch the damage that they were looking to put in towards Koa's health bar. Now Yangon Galacticos could be a back angle that spots out Noxium Red Force, because they've been playing on the far side of this longhouse against this push from Falcons for quite a while now. Weibo as well, with order moving in, could also find angles with Falcons in their sightlines. We'll have to wait and see, because they have drawn the attention. The Sharks are circling.
Yes.
And that is one great white off in the distance.
And I worry about Ralph. I loved his off angle, but now start to question, will Burnett from Yangon Galacticos be able to get the shots needed? But the pressure's in, the commitment has been sent. And Doc C down to a sliver of health, and in fact, he's going to be fully dropped off of that as Falcons look to win this in full fashion with all 4 players last alive. The question is, what can the last remaining member of Noxium Red Force do?
Circle cutting them in on the edge of the circle as well. They're going to be happy to hold this fight for a little bit longer. XZY on the outside, spots Koa, looks for the flush as well. I think he was denied and gets cut down by Narvalo, who was rezzed earlier. Putting that import onto that res really pays off for them. The Falcons now losing only 1, meaning they're fairly safe from Yangon Galacticos. But Yangon Galacticos do not need to take this fight right now. They can just try and get ahead of this and keep the Falcons on the edge of this circle.
Which is what they've been great at, and that's why they've been so consistent. They're not focused on crashing in, being aggressive. They're focused on pacing and positioning. And you even look at, we look at the map, right, for SayCloud, where he's currently at, he already has great off angle and a good position to gatekeep the team of Falcons, who are very aware of where he's currently at. And if they can't take him out, they get tunnel vision on SayCloud. You think got Burnett, who's getting an off angle himself just behind the Falcons roster. YG are closing the vice grip, and Falcons need to be acutely aware of where they're currently at.
I wonder if they're aware of Myrna on the off angle. And he is going to be devastating. He catches someone trying to push up that ridgeline towards where SayCloud was playing. Retreated off now, by the way. And it could be dastardly. But Falcons are going to extend further towards the north side. With 2 players left remaining on Weibo. Those are the 2 players who will be playing on the angle. Koa will spot the players inside the building. Hear that vehicle rotating. You'll know that there's a bit of a regroup onto that Weibo compound.
Yeah, Koa Redux just trying to fill out where Falcons can go next. They know it's an option to stay put where they're currently at, but they need the information on their next rotation. They wisely retreat back. Redux will stay just above that team secret to get a couple of pop shots, maybe a knock to where Falcons can open up a door for themselves to maybe push in. For power, though, opposite of Fireflux, who has some early engagements. They lose half of their roster, but still set up very deep into the zone. For them, they're okay at the moment, but you do have a couple of teams, maybe Power. I'm honestly looking at Alter Egos to maybe be the next roster to push up. And I think that was Alter Egos who took down the 2 members of Fireflux earlier.
On the east side for Alter Ego right now, they're fairly isolated. A potentially difficult push. They